Communication campaigns and communication programs are essentials for strategic companies that want to build a good image, a good brand, and a good reputation for themselves. In corporate communication, there is a process, and more than that, there is a model that can be followed by any company that wants to build such a communication campaign, and in this video we talk about all the steps. In my previous video, we talked about three important corporate branding elements. We talked about corporate branding, we talked about corporate identity, corporate image, and corporate reputation. If you want to know the definitions and what those stand for, you can watch the video right here by clicking on the info card, or you can also see the video in the links in the description below. You need to understand these concepts in order to be able to understand the alignment of these concepts. What that means is that every company wants to be seen in a certain way, and people will perceive you from your communication in another way if there is a gap between your reputation and between your image, or between your identity, so what you consider yourself as a company, and how people perceive you, so the image. If you want to learn more about that, and I recommend you do so, you can watch the video I created right here by clicking on the info card, or find the video down in the links in the description below. So the importance of these videos comes when you want to create a communication campaign or a communication program that states your identity, that creates your image, that creates the branding, that helps the reputation of a company. But first and foremost, you need to understand the definitions and the differences between a communication campaign and a communication program. Both communication programs and campaigns communicate towards both internal and external audiences. We call them stakeholders. A communication program is formulated as a set of activities towards targeted internal and external audiences. It may include multiple and diverse activities to communicate with the stakeholder audiences. Campaigns are restricted to a single point in time where all communication is pointed towards a particular decision of the company that needs to be supported by stakeholders. A program is like a campaign. It may consist of different activities, but it does not have a preset endpoint. A program is put in place to address ongoing needs for reputation building. So as a resume, when we talk about a communication campaign, we talk about a campaign, so we call it a communication project that you want, where you decide with your team or with your company that you will communicate a certain message for a certain period of time. If we talk about a communication program, we talk about the entire vision of the company, how it wants to be seen, and it never ends. You continuously project the same image, the same communication messages towards the society, so your image stays the same and you continuously reinforce your reputation. So as I mentioned, there are certain steps that you need to follow if you want to create a good corporate campaign or a communication program. And we talk about all these steps right now. The first step is to decide the strategic intent. The strategic intent formulates a change or a consolidation of stakeholders' reputations of the organization. It is based upon the gap between how the organization wants itself to be seen by important stakeholder groups and how it is currently seen by each of those groups. So basically, the strategic intent is important, especially important if you have a vision-image gap. So that means the vision the corporate has about itself, how it wants to be seen, where it wants to go, and how it wants to achieve that. And the image it has, the image is the image of the company. Everybody has about that company, right? If you stop somebody on the street and ask them, hey, what do you think about Nike, Apple, Coca-Cola, whatever, they will say something. That is the image the company has, and it may not be the same as the vision the company wants to have. So if you have such a gap, if the vision is not the same as the image people perceived, you can watch the video right here about the gaps. I created a video about there are 3 types of gaps. But going on, in the strategic intent, you set if you want to repair the gap, because you can repair it with a communication campaign, or if you want to reinforce your image. Maybe your image is perfectly aligned with your vision and you want to continuously communicate the same message to reinforce that. Now it is the time to define the communication objectives. Communication practitioners have to set specific objectives for each program or campaign, to develop special and particular campaigns for different stakeholder groups such as employees, shareholders, investors, customers, etc. So what this means is that every company has multiple stakeholder groups, right? There is a video I created about shareholders and stakeholders. There are more stakeholders groups. So everybody that is affected or can affect the company, that is the employees, the customers, the investors. Watch that video to understand the difference. But when you create a communication campaign, you need to decide to which stakeholder group you will communicate. And after you decided that, you need to decide the objective. Maybe you want a better image in the eyes of your employees. Maybe you want a better image in the eyes of your customers. And those are two different objectives, and you will need two different communication campaigns for that. Objectives could be changing or consolidating a particular stakeholder's awareness, attitude, mode, general reputation with them, or behavior. Objectives should be formulated smart, specific, specify what it is that the communication wants to achieve. Change in awareness, reputation, etc. with a particular stakeholder group. It should be measurable. You should be able to measure whether they are meeting the objectives or not. It usually consists of indications, a percentage change in supportive behavior, or any unit that can be measured afterwards to evaluate the success of the program. Achievable. Objectives should be attainable and achievable in the light of current stakeholders' reputations of the organization and the competitive landscape. It should be realistic. Objectives need to be realistic in the light of the resources and the budget that is provided for a particular program or campaign. And finally, timely. Objectives should be also specified in a time frame in which they need to be achieved. Objectives often include a 1-2 years window after the program ended to measure the direct impact of the communication campaign that it had. The fourth step of creating a communication campaign or a communication program is about the themed messages. About themed messages and about message styles, I've created another video that you can watch right here by clicking on the info card, or you can also find it in the links down in the description. It is about how you formulate a message, because it can be emotional, it can be rational, you can assert dominance, you can assert empathy with the same message depending on how you formulate it. But more about that you can learn in the video that I've recommended you. Based upon the communication objectives and the selected target audiences, communication practitioners need to decide what the core message should be. The message evolves directly from how the organization wants to be seen. For example, Philips' vision of wanting to be seen as a leader in innovation provides a core message that can be translated into a specific campaign format and message style. The fifth step goes even deeper in themed messages. It is about choosing the message style you need. Let's example that. A message can be told in different ways using one of the 5 message styles. A style can bring a message to life or can be appealing to a specific target audience. For example, a company can adopt a rational message style when it comes to communicating its financial growth and potential to investors to capture their interest. Philips used a preemptive message style around the core message sense and simplicity to consistently communicate its commitment to developing user-friendly technology. The sixth step in creating a communication campaign or a communication program is to identify the right media that you need for your communication campaign. It is very important to choose the right media you want to use, because there is social media and there is also traditional media, right? Online and offline media, and each one has their use. It can help you or it can be an impediment in reaching out to the target audience that you have selected within your budget. And there are several criteria in order to select the right media for you. The reach and coverage of the target audience. To what extent does a particular medium reach subject within the target audience so that they are exposed to the message at once? The creative match. To what extent does the medium support a particular message style and creative format? Competitors' use of the media. To what extent do competitors use the same medium? And the ability of the media to enable dialogue and interaction with the audience. Does the media simply supply information, or does it also allow interaction with the organization? For example, when a company has a product launch, you might want to select multiple medias. So we don't only talk about social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You can also choose TV, you can also choose radio. Maybe it suits you well to use the newspaper or a magazine. You need to understand the budget you have, the resources you have, and how the media can help you reach the audience you selected. Because when you want to launch a product, maybe you want only to raise awareness about that product. Maybe you also want to increase the sales of the company, or maybe you launch the product but you also want to communicate more about the company rather than the product. There are several objectives you can have, and there is certain media that helps you more than others to achieve those objectives. And finally, the last step is to prepare your budget. Most of the budget will be spent on media buying. The remaining amount will go towards the production of the program or campaign. The effectiveness of a program or campaign can be evaluated measuring effects such as the cognitive or behavioral changes of the target audience or target stakeholders. There can be changes in awareness, attitude and reputation or behavior. This was everything for this video. I hope it helped you understand all the steps that you need to undertake in order to create a communication campaign or a communication program. Before going and watching another video of mine, you want to check the links in the description if you are an entrepreneur or you just created or you are managing a company. I've created a manual with all the information you need to know to create an original business plan with its original communication campaign and a marketing strategy. If you own your very first company, you manage a company for a long time, you want to buy that manual and that communication plan because it will guide you step by step on what to do to achieve the objectives of your company and to make a by-the-book business plan. Remember that you can also support me by buying me a coffee. I drink a lot of coffee in creating these videos, for researching the information, for filming the videos, for editing the videos, so you can watch them for free on YouTube. There is a link down in the description for buying me a coffee, and you can also support me with the traditional means by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and leave a comment in the comment section down below. It helps me a lot with the YouTube algorithm. This was everything for today. I'll see you at the next video on my channel.